right, listen up, people. The time has come. We've covered a GM truck, we've covered a Cummins, and now Ford, boys and gals, it's your turn to shine. Your step up into the limelight, your chance to dance on the big stage. And what a better way to kick this one off than by talking about reliability. I mean, when it comes to engines, specifically diesels, Ford has always been known for having some of the best and most reliable engines on the market. Heck, look at the 7.3 Power Stroke. Even the GM and Dodge guys swear by them. They ran forever, they were dependable, and they were just damn reliable. But we're not here to talk about the iconic 7.3 Power Stroke today. Instead, today, we're talking about the newer, younger, sleeker, more stylish, better looking, lighter weight, and overall just better performing younger brother Power Stroke truck. That's right, I'm Dustin with Custom Offsets. You guys can find me on Instagram at dusty.co, and today, we're chatting about how you may want a 6.7 Power Stroke. Roll the intro. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of this fire-breathing Power Stroke, I would like to remind you that if you need wheels, tires, a lift kit, some performance parts, or even rad accessories like a bumper or lighting products, we have all that at customoffsets.com. Literally, we have freaking everything. Also, if the summer has you feeling a little tight on the old pocketbook, no sweat. We have financing options as low as 0% on pretty much everything in our store, meaning that you can finish your build and pay for your books if you're headed back to college this fall like Biggs. Okay, so maybe he's not actually going to college, but you know, we wish he would. Better yet, maybe it's a sick new t-shirt you're after. Good news there as well, we've got this awesome new giveaway shirt, and with every shirt we're giving back to the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. Plus, if that wasn't enough for you, every t-shirt that you purchase automatically gets you entered to win a free set of wheels from our friends over at Moto Metal. Free wheels, dope t-shirt, plus you get to help us make a donation to an awesome charity. Count me in. I'll take like 10. You just ship them right to my house. Just in a box. It'd be great. You guys can check all of that out at customoffsets.com/giveaway. Or again, there's probably a link down there, and there might be one up here somewhere. I never get it right. Anyway, before we get into the almighty 6.7 Power Stroke, we have to roll out the old pedigree of the Power Stroke engines. When it comes to diesel engines, Ford has certainly had its ups, and then it's also had its downs. For simplicity's sake, we're going to start here in 1994 with the introduction of the iconic 7.3 Power Stroke. Now listen, I know that there was a 7.3 IDI before then, but we're not even going to touch on that one today because, well, there's already a lot to cover here. On a relevant note, drop a comment down below if you'd like to see us make a video on all the Power Stroke engines and the key differences between them, because there's like 9 of them, I think, or 6 of them, or so. There's a lot. Okay, so introduced in 1994, the 7.3 Power Stroke was the first Ford diesel engine to offer an electronic fuel injection system, which allowed a much higher fuel rail pressure than its predecessor. Well, again, I don't want to spend the entirety of today's video on the 7.3. The case must still be made that for a long time, Ford pretty much owned the diesel engine game. Sure, Cummins had the 12 valve and it was a great engine, it was super reliable, but ask anyone what the iconic diesel engine of the 90s was, and they're going to tell you it's the 7.3 Power Stroke, mostly because pretty much everyone has a story of either their dad or grandpa or uncle or cousin or someone having a 7.3 and it running up to like 500,000 miles. Heck, there's even a few select stories of these engines and these trucks clocking over 1,000,000 miles, which is freaking insane when it comes to a pickup truck. Like, that just doesn't happen. But much like half of the Taco Bell menu, all good things unfortunately must come to an end, and so they did. Facing stricter emissions regulations, Ford needed to find a way to be competitive in the new market, as the 7.3, while as reliable as it was, definitely wasn't the most fuel-efficient truck that was on the market at the time. Ford's solution to this was the 6-liter Power Stroke, which was introduced midway through the 2003 model year. While it was a great idea by design, kind of, The 6-liter was plagued with all sorts of issues, most notably catastrophic head gasket failure due to a plugged oil cooler, which would then flash boil coolant into the EGR valve, which would fail, and it was a bad deal. It was a bad deal, and I can say that because I had one, right? For this reason, the 6-liter Power Stroke was only made a few years, and it would eventually be replaced by the new 6.4, which solved some of the 6-liter issues. However, it still had enough issues of its own to only be in production for a few short years. So it's 2011 at this point, right? And in just 8 short years, Ford has effectively gone from standing on the podium with a gold or a silver hanging around its neck to a DNF in the diesel truck game with the 6064. It was not good. Things looked pretty rough for the old FOMO Co at this point, but never fear, there's still hope. Introduced in 2011 is the belle of the ball for today's video, the 6.7-liter turbocharged Power Stroke diesel engine. That's just fun to say. While Ford made a ton of changes to this truck, perhaps the biggest change that was made was that for the very first time ever, Ford was making their own diesel engines in-house as opposed to working with Navistar International like they had for the last 30 years. Either way, this new engine featured a variable geometry turbo as well as an air-to-water intercooler, which was pretty uncommon at the time. But it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns with the whole new Power Stroke thing, right? This first generation 6.7 was produced for only 3 short years in true Ford fashion. While the first generation 6.7s were a novel idea, they were riddled with issues, including a major problem with the diesel emissions system. I mean, we're not really surprised here, right? It's the first rendition that Ford took at making a diesel engine in-house, so naturally we expected some issues. Word on the street is that these first generation 6.7s had some issues with their NOx sensors, which would commonly throw these trucks into limp mode, leaving you with no boost, half the fuel, and a check engine light, which sucks. While Ford was on to something big, at this point in time, things still didn't look great for the Blue Oval. To make matters worse, shortly after they released the 6.7 Power Stroke, GM also rolled out their LML Duramax. When GM did this, they published their horsepower and torque ratings like every truck manufacturer does, and unfortunately, it was higher than the Power Stroke by a little bit. Not willing to settle for second place here, Ford immediately pushed out a bulletin to all dealers and encouraged all of their customers to bring their brand new trucks back to the dealer free of charge for a reflash of the PCM. This new reflash would gain you an additional 10 horsepower and 65 foot-pounds of torque, which was enough to top the LML and put the Ford back at the top of the power leaderboard. So maybe they weren't reliable, but at least they made the most power, right? Sure. Listen, I know I talk about this a lot, but can we just take a moment and talk about the freaking fantastic sound that these turbos make? Seriously, when it comes to the sweetest sounds in the world, there are a few that compete with the oh-so-fantastic sound of a variable geometry turbo. For the 6.7's particular case, Ford would choose the Garrett GT32 SST variable geometry turbo, which is unique in its own way because it had not one, but 2 compressor wheels that actually sit back to back in the housing. It's kind of a unique design. While it did a great job, the GT32 SST was actually a little undersized for the 6.7 Power Stroke and later would be replaced by a bigger, better turbo, which is actually the perfect segue for us to talk about how in 2015, Ford would increase the horsepower output on their 6.7 Power Strokes from 400 horsepower to 440 horsepower. This would be in part because Ford decided to replace the restrictive, smaller turbo that we just talked about with the Garrett GT37, which was quite a bit larger than the previous GT32s. This new, bigger turbo would peak somewhere near 30 psi of boost, giving you more spool for more horsepower. In 2017, Ford did perhaps one of the biggest controversial changes they've ever made in their entire existence ever. They decided to take the stock steel bodies of their Super Duty pickups and turn it up just a couple 2-3 notches. For those of you who remember, the 2017 model year brought with it the all-aluminum body. Dubbed the Aluma Duty, these trucks would set the world on fire, causing tons of controversy as consumers believed that aluminum could not be as strong as steel and surely must be significantly more costly to repair in the event of an accident. While this has proven to be false over the years, Ford definitely made some waves in the market at the time. With all of that stuff being said though, why would you want a 6.7 Power Stroke in 2021? Well, for starters, there's still a relatively new truck, which means that both the exterior and the interior are still going to be current. They look great leveled or lifted or even reverse leveled and even slammed. They just look great all the time, and there's tons of parts available for them through all sorts of manufacturers. If lift kits are your thing, good news, because these are solid axle trucks, right? Which means that you can get any size lift that you want, including a 14-inch lift kit made by Wicked Manufacturing, or you can go the adjustable route with companies like Kelderman, who makes an air ride kit, or any level who's gonna make a hydraulic lift kit. Better yet, because Ford has always realized that, wheel wells should be round, much like the tires that go in them.
Get it, Dustin?
Yeah, I get. Listen, I'm not happy about it, okay? I don't know why GM decided they wanted square wheel wells. We actually have a video on that. You can check it out. Lawson did a great job, but I'm not gonna talk about it today. So anyway, because their wheel wells are round, you can stuff a pretty aggressive tire in there without too many issues. Personally, I know here we've stuffed the 35 12.5 R20 on a 9 wide on a stock truck. Just tucked it in there and it fit, which is wild to me. If you go up just a few inches of lift, you can stuff a 37 in there without a lot of issues, or go really wide, and again, you're not gonna rub. It really is quite awesome if you're looking to get a bigger wheel and tire in there. So with all of that being said though, what do you guys think about the 6.7 Power Strokes? Would you own one, or are they one that you would stay away from? Let us know down in the comments section below, and as always, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and maybe share the video with a buddy, so you can keep up with all the awesome custom offsets content that you guys have come to love from us. With that, I'm Dustin from Custom Offsets. We'll see you guys on the next one. I'm gonna go home now.